Ari goes to me, mommy. Wait, shy. Ari goes to me before he goes, mommy. One day when I'm about 100 and I have all my own money, do you know what I'm going to buy? And I was like, how are you getting the money? He's like, I'm going to work. And I was like, doing what? He's like, I'll tell you later. I was like, okay. I was like, what are you going to do with the money? He's like, mommy, I'm buying all the Transformers.
Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Today, our special guests are us. It's Lily, it's Becky, it's me. We've had a bunch of amazing guests the last few weeks, but we're just going to hang siblings today and talk about what we've been watching, because somehow, and as crazy as the world is, this family finds our way to watch our shows and our movies. Like, people always ask me, when do you watch this? When you're sleeping? Yes. Sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m. and I knock out 15 minutes of a show just before I fall back asleep. And then I pick it up like, people do that with books. They read a few pages, they take a nap on the beach.
It's
Why can't I do that with a show?
True. It's true.
And so with that, I'll ask Becky, how are you doing? What is the latest? Or do you just not want to go into it?
No, it's fine. You introduced me as like, oh, it's just like Lily and Becky. And I'm thinking to myself, am I even like fully, am I here? Am I me? Am I still like, I feel like I'm being slowly destroyed. What's with today?
Moving does that to you. Moving does that to you. And moving with children.
Especially because I'm a very organized person. I like to think ahead about all the potential things that can go wrong and problem solve them in advance. And so I feel like if I was doing this move alone, it would be perfect. But I'm doing it with my husband. So it's like, I feel like he's just interfering with what could be a really stunning process, a really like flawless, let's show people how a move is done. But then I can't say that because at the same time, he's also been like incredibly helpful and wonderful and supportive. So he'd get really mad if he heard this.
That's what Allie would say about moving with me. Like it's kind of like a clown card. Like every time she finds more of my stuff when we move, she's like, what? It's just like there was one little box in the closet. How do we now have a truckload of things coming over?
I don't know. There was definitely, I was feeling really good about how packed and organized and everything is. We hired the packers, and the actual moving crew shows up yesterday, and they don't even like walk through the house. They just like look at the first room and they go, this is too much stuff. You're going to need another whole crate. And I'm like, we haven't even seen what I have. And they're like, it's not fitting. So like off the bat, we started off like moment one being like, this will not be a success. This is a disaster. So it's like, there's a very like high. I failed. It was like a very, but the day before, this is what I actually wanted to talk about. So the day before the Packers came, right? Have you ever wanted to like irrationally impress someone where like it doesn't matter? Like their opinion of you should not matter at all, but you really want to impress like a total stranger.
I feel like I need to think about it for a second to like,
but that's like
an example.
But I go through this often, and she does, and I never do.
Okay.
Like I feel like Allie's like definitely wants to impress like maybe like a tennis instructor situation.
No.
Like show like how good she is at tennis or something.
Exactly. Like the tennis instructor doesn't care. You're still like you're not going to be
a pro. He's just a teacher.
In the era of COVID,
I feel like Shy would want to impress a diner waiter with like the best order ever. Like that would be Shy's thing. Like the diner waiter would be like, that's a great order. You really nailed that order, sir.
But he's also like, I just want to go home. Don't care.
Yeah, right. I mean, no, Allie would run the little robot vacuum when someone is coming to social distance in the backyard, just because she wants to make them sure that the house is put together.
That's like I am. I'm like that too.
Okay, so leading up to the Packers coming, I actually had a lot of like anxiety and like anxiety nightmares about them showing up and being like, this house is a disaster. We'll never be able to pack this. What were you thinking? I was like very nervous. I have a feeling
they've seen worse.
So they came in, and the like head of the team did a walkthrough of the house, and she was like, I am so impressed with how organized you are. You have made our job so easy. nobody
Yeah.
is ever this put together and organized. Like, I started off the day with like a gold star. It was the best feeling. And then
Okay,
it came
or
crashing
she's a
down the following.
genius,
No.
or she's a
I'm
genius,
amazing.
and she was like, these people are fragile.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to like lay
Becky
it on
is a
thick.
tinderbox. A tinderbox.
But no, but then that's what happened basically the next day. And I'm talking about how stunning this organization and this packing is. And I'm so proud of myself. And they had the best crew that helped. And then the next day, this like really salty, weathered old man mover comes through and is like, this isn't gonna fit.
Becky,
What
because
were
he
you thinking?
lifts the things. All those other people just come in and they're like, oh, it's so cute.
And I like fell apart. Like slowly over the next 4 hours, I like had an actual nervous breakdown.
Although I will say it's a little bit rough to like, I mean, telling you need more space, that's one thing, but to editorialize about your stuff, that's definitely something where I'm not interested in people. Like I said, I don't care and I'm not interested in people's opinions of those things, but I am interested in the area of which they are there. And if they think that you need more room to accommodate large stuffed animals that you may have received as a gift from your older brother.
Or
right
just
you
like,
moved.
or that, or just like 5 surfboards that don't fit in the moving crates because they're too large and they have to be sent.
Are you bringing your 5 surfboards here?
Yes.
Okay, because make sure they are displayed in a very, very, very prominent place. So however many shenanigans and posters I have, it won't look as much as
I was like, who do you have to impress?
Yeah.
No.
So that's
just
kind of
put them in the living room.
So like that's where we're at, and then I'm not going to get into the details, but like essentially now that we've moved out and we're fixing up the house, now that we're moving out, like everything that could go wrong has, like every person who's supposed to be working on the house has like called and changed the schedule and like added extra costs, and it's just like it's been
exactly what everybody would have assumed
goes,
it would be like.
So everyone who's listening to this who's been through it is like, yeah, no, that's correct. So that's where I'm at. So I've been doing a lot of like soothing watching. I don't know. We need a term for that. Like
what are we even
like
watching?
putting
what have
a bomb.
So this is like a Rex RX situation. So what is your Rex RX for someone?
If you move across the country during a pandemic with 2 babies,
and you have a lot of surfboards and you're on the verge of a breakdown and the movers are criticizing you, what do you watch so that you don't pick up in the middle of the night and just drive east away from your family?
I'm not gonna lie, children's cartoons, children's animated shows have been wonderful because what I do is I just put something on for Miri, and then I like every time I need an emotional break, I need to bring the temperature down, I just go and snuggle up to her and I watch a few minutes of what she's watching. So we watched all of Camp Cretaceous, which is like a pretty scary Jurassic Park show on Netflix for kids. But it's not for little babies.
It's like a kid's spinoff, though. It's more than just like a dopey, like solve the mystery of the week show, right? Like it has a story.
No, it's great. It has like a full story that goes over the course of the season. No, so it's not like a one-off episode. It's like a whole arc, you know, a la,
like Green Eggs and Ham. Green Eggs and Ham, which is amazing, is an arc.
Yeah, so it's like a whole season, like each season, and it's like a continuing story of them being in the, you know, Jurassic Park world, and it's great, and the characters are really interesting. I really like, so I've been watching that with her, and then I have still been watching Psych. Like nothing has changed there. I've talked about that a lot the last few weeks, how much I've been loving that.
I'm watching it with the kids. They now love it so much. My younger one giggles so hard whenever Burton Guster gets a new nickname.
Oh, I love it. And then there's like, and then sometimes like other people will give him nicknames. Like there's an episode where like where Henry is introducing, like quickly introducing, and then just like makes up a fake nickname for Gus.
Oh, that's one of the best names. This is Methuselah. That's always in all of the top nickname scenes. That's always in it.
Yeah.
But the one we did the other day was the one where Sean calls Gus MC Clap Your Hands, and Dule Hill just like perfectly claps along with the nickname, and it was just hysterical laughing in our house.
So we're watching that, and then another show. This is actually something I want to get into more with Lily, who I know has seen a couple episodes of. I would like to talk about how do we feel about Netflix After Party with David Spade and Fortune Feimster.
I mean,
and
you're asking the
Lemon
wrong
Hughes.
person. Because you're asking the wrong person for several reasons. One, when I really like a show, I could like beat it to death. Like I could talk about it to death. I could like watch. I don't rewatch things, so that's not something I would do. But I'd like go over and over and over again. I get other people to watch, and I'd want to see like clips and interviews with the cast and like research it and find out about it. So if there's a show where other people, especially David Spade, you know I'm a huge fan. Fortune,
Love David
huge fan.
Spade.
London, huge fan. So if you're
Fortune, who gave you who we got a
a
cameo
birthday message on my birthday,
Mhm.
and so
You're welcome.
and she was so cute and funny, and it was a great message. And so you're talking about a situation where these amazing people are not only talking about a show, but then getting to talk to the cast of that show. And if I liked the show, it's literally like my algorithm, like that was made for me. So I can't really tell you if it's good, but now I want to recommend it to people.
So I'll say that.
But I didn't see the episode that Becky saw that said it was very awkward.
The Andy Cohen Watch What Happens live show was like unbearable for me. So I'm not, and I'm generally not interested in after shows. I like after shows more when they're
I guess
done
that's
by,
an after show where he's also talking about a reality show, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe
it,
that's
What?
it. But
What
no, but
show
they
is
did watch.
that?
I think they did it for other. They did after shows for a
he
lot
did
of
for the
different
Real
shows.
Housewives.
They did it for Sons of Anarchy too.
He did. Really?
Yeah, I look.
But I
I'd
feel like
to
that
see-
was always like a one-off. Like you'd have for The Bachelor, it would be like an after. Oh, I guess yeah, that's what this is. It's like at the end of the season. Yeah, they do.
I like
I don't
David
really
Spade.
get the point of it.
I'd rather listen to an indie podcaster crew wrap up their reaction than watch a show about people watching a show. I've got too many shows to watch.
But they interview the cast, which
Yeah, but I feel
fun.
like the cast on those things, like they don't give as good stuff as they might have. I mean, I don't know.
It all just feels very scripted. And David Spade is the best. I think like David Spade is a really special part of the show, because like he gets what this is. And there's a moment at the end of the Bridgerton one where he's explaining a game they're going to play. And the woman who plays the queen is like, sorry, I missed that. Can you explain it again? And he says something like, you are really overestimating how good this bit is supposed to be. You know, like something like that. He's like, don't worry about it.
He's very self-aware.
And then there was the Fred Savage show. I only watched it twice because it was a fake version of one of these shows. And I liked that more than any real version. And even that I couldn't keep watching. But that at least was at least kind of funny. But I'm glad that you're watching it.
Well, I'll say if anybody has watched Bling Empire, that after party episode is very funny.
I have my Rex RX for Becky. I've mentioned the show for you before, but given your snuggle factor with your daughter and the fact that she's watching things that are a little more advanced.
Watch Avatar. We know.
No. Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts.
Yeah. I watched the first app. I'll get into it.
Has a huge mother and daughter thread to it.
Right. It's like all of the other Rex. When I get to it, it will be my showendipity, and it will be like a beautiful experience.
I couldn't remember if
you've been recommending Psych to me for probably 5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
And you didn't know that now is when you would need it.
That's totally fine.
Now is when I would need it. And I'm so grateful. Every time I sit down to watch an episode, I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God I've saved it till now. And there's so many, but I'm already like halfway through season, or at the beginning of season 3. So I'm already getting angry. Like when I was like halfway through season 2, I'm like, I got episodes to burn. And now I'm just like, just be careful. Well, it's like Friday night dinner.
Friday night dinner.
Who knows
watching
when this will end?
I'm watching that so slowly that I watch it in increments. That I'll literally watch like 10 minutes of an episode and be like, hey, I have to save the rest.
So I'm batting pretty well with Beck lately. That's good to know. All right, Lily, what have you been watching?
Well, we have gotten on the Australian suspense bandwagon. So,
so Dad took the remote and no one's allowed to control the TV.
Does Dad have like stock in those shows or something? Does he have like equity?
I have been very careful at I vet the recommendations, but I think this is a funny story. Hold on. So So first, Shy peer pressures me. Him and the wonderful Mark Toner both peer pressure me into watching Night Stalker. And Mark peer pressures me by telling me not to watch it. And so that's all I need. And so I watch it with Mom and Jose, and Dad starts to watch it. I don't know if he ever finished it. And there's few things that like I really couldn't sleep. Like that friggin' terrified me, that show.
The Night
And
Stalker?
it's yeah. And it's a
I don't
documentary.
like documentaries. It was so fantastic. It was so
I mean, it was riveting. It was riveting and it was terrifying, and it's a true story. I do not recommend it to people who like are not like fascinated or interested in like serious crime solving and like epic like cop stories and quite a lot of murder. As a true story based on a serial killer in LA and San Francisco in the 80s. But yes, it's really like helps that I watched Bosch, about a hardened LA cop detective, because a lot of the documentary is so similar to like
it feels like a real life.
it feels right. It feels like a real life, something you'd only see on TV and be like, that would never happen. And it's quite impressive. So I watched that, and then I was like, how am I gonna, like, I then started furiously texting Becky and Shay. I'm like, now what am I supposed to watch? Because like that was so scary. And my host is like, keep going. And I'm like, I need a break. So I like stealthily turn his attention to the Australian like suspense genre, which is like great, but nothing too scary, right? And I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be really good. You're not gonna have to solve a mystery or whatever, till the very end. So we watched the first episode of Secret City with the great Anna Torv from Fringe and Mindhunter. So I talked about that a few weeks ago on the pod. We watched that episode, and then the dad had recommended this, and Mom, this other one called The Code, which actually seemed more interesting. So about two brothers, one who is on the autism spectrum, and the other is a journalist, and they uncover a conspiracy to cover up a murder in the government, and one's a hacker, and so it was really, really interesting. Now there's like a handful of Australian actors that are in these shows, and someone that plays like a minister type person in the government in Secret City then plays a cop in The Code. But it's the same guy. And I watched one and then the other. And me and Jose are sitting there being like, this show makes no sense. Why would a minister have a cop badge? Why is he undercover? Yeah. And we kept being like, Mom, Dad, this show is so dumb. Like, that makes no sense. And Dad just turns to me and he's like, that's not the same show. He's like, it's the same.
You're lucky Dad didn't throw you out of the room.
Yes, no, that's very protective.
Like, Australian crime drama photographic memories like our father does.
Right. So once I got that sorted out, I do recommend The Code. It's on Netflix here. I don't know if it's on your Netflix, but it's a cool kind of like conspiracy type show. So there's that. And then I was going to recommend also a fun animated spin-off show. I don't know if you guys have it too. I assume you do. They turned Go Dog Go into a show.
Did they really?
A regular show? And do they show the dog party? Because I will watch it if I get to see the dog party.
What about the hat?
Do you like the hat?
Oh, Go Dogs Go is my favorite one of those.
Wait, who turned this into a show?
P.D. Eastman wrote the book.
Also, do you guys realize that it's called Go Dog Go? It's not Go Dogs Go.
Dogs Go.
But Bubba used to call Good Will Hunting Willy Hunting. Like it's
but it was called. But I had.
Yes, the show is called Corre Perro Corre in Spain, or Go Doggo, the singular for you guys.
But you guys, that phenomenon where you're like sure something is one thing, and then you go.
The Berenstain Bears are the Berenstain Bears. Did you know that?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. The Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears.
The phenomenon where you think you're right, Becky. What phenomenon is this?
No, it's this phenomenon where like your brain remembers it as one thing, and then you go and you and then like one day you notice that it's actually been something different all along.
And like
time. I feel like people like say like they always use that as like proof that there's like aliens or like something like that. I don't know. It's like there's like a thing. I have to look it up what it's called. It's a thing. I've heard
it's
about
like
it on
when people
podcasts.
mix up lyrics. And also I hear, but I totally know what you're talking about. But go
But
dog
yeah, you know
go.
what I'm talking about. But
So-
go dog go. So it's always
Hold
been
me
go
closer,
dogs
Tony
go.
Danza.
No, it's always been go dogs go. And we've had this book in our house for like, at least a year since I took it from Shy. And like very recently I was looking at the cover and I was just like,
It's singular.
dog. It's singular.
Well, because it's weird that it's singular because they're often telling groups of dogs to go. And in that line,
there's
when
not
he
a
says,
single
"Go,
page on
dogs,
that book
go."
where it's one dog.
Right. Anyway, so the first episode
Over a
is
tree, a dog under a tree.
right. So the first
Is that an
episode
episode?
is
Do you like my hat?
has the blimp, has do you like my hat?
Aren't they going to run out of
skis.
material? Aren't they going to run
Well,
out of
then it's about this like dog town, and they have those adventures, and the first episode, the ending is they get to the dog party, and so the first episode is basically the book, and it's introducing the main characters. And I don't often love kids shows. I'm really excited about Camp Crustaceous, right? And then the Jurassic World show that you mentioned, and then I feel like I had to pay it forward and recommend this show because it's adorable. Also on Netflix. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna give another rec. I don't think anybody watches this show but me. It's what British baking is to you, Becky, and many people out there. And I have very few reality shows I like, and they're very weird. But I would say that there's this glass blowing show called
God, I
Blown
have no
Away.
interest
It
in
That's
is
watching
like
that.
That's like the part
relaxing.
of a Mr. Rogers episode when they just show you like silent movies of the
Yeah.
crayons being made.
Ugh.
Oh,
Well, the Crayon Factory is pretty cool.
it's cool, but they have
The
had the
Crayon
same
Factory is
video of
pretty
the Crayon Factory since 1978, and it just replays
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, I
Yeah.
find that show very relaxing. So
I have
when I need
no
to
interest in
down a
that.
notch,
That is a
I don't
stretch.
know.
That feels like a bottom of the barrel like competition.
Is that your?
show.
It's
like it's
my-
too niche. Like at a certain point, Netflix, you're getting too niche.
I really like it. I wonder who they made that show
Hey,
for.
question. What's with the pronunciation of niche versus niche?
Niche. We
Why
grew
do
up in Montreal.
But why do
We
Americans
pronounce French words
call
French.
it niche?
Because that's
they can't
the
pronounce
way
it?
that
Huh.
they pronounce it. I don't know. It's like the way.
Why do they
I don't
call
know.
it an Amex instead of an Amex?
What about
Yeah, or an orange or an orange.
prefix versus price fix?
Prefix?
Or prefix? What do they call it? We say
prefix versus fixed price. Well, that's just translation of French to English.
Yeah, but
I
you
will
wouldn't
say
call hors
we had club
Whatever,
price, as mom called it,
whatever.
which wasn't even called club price. It was club prix, but mom translated the backwards thing of price.
For us.
Price Club.
So we thought it was club
Price.
price. The same way you thought it was go dogs go.
Club
Lily,
Price.
anything else
But
on
Club
your
Price
list?
was Costco, right?
Anything else on your
I
list?
watched Bling Empire, which I think is riveting. So
Oh,
It says
did
here in the
you
notes.
finish
It says
it?
here in the notes that there's
you
a
finish
nod to Rise of the Guardians. Is that you? Did you
Oh
write-
yes, I should look at my notes. I forgot.
And the only reason why I'm prodding you on that is
I
you know
it's
that
'cause
that
you-
is one of
you
my all-time
love-
favorite animated
right,
movies.
yes,
and
that's why I wrote it in there. So Ari's very picky about what he watches, and he only accepts recommendations from his Tio Shy. So basically last night he's like, I want to watch something on TV, and I was like, well, it was early enough. I was like, let's watch a movie, because then he just like scrolls through shows and pauses shows and go back. I was like, let's just watch a movie, and he's like, well, he'll veto everything I offer, because like I swear to God, I'm not watching Smurfs too. Like, that's
no,
what he
I'm
wants to
with
watch,
you.
and not, like,
I veto things a lot. I'm like,
veto
nope,
that, like,
I'm paying attention
garbage.
now. We're gonna watch something
Yeah.
I want to watch.
Right. And then I was like, I saw Rise of the Guardians, and I'm like, that sounds like something Shy was like obsessed with. There's Guardians in the title. There's a rise of something. I was like, there's no Avatar in the title or dragon, but I'm like, I know that this was something Shy
But don't
really
mix it
liked.
up with Legend of the Guardians. That's about flying
Okay.
owls.
Okay, so I knew that like it could be dicey, that this wasn't the right one. But when I heard Chris Pine's voice as who plays Jack Frost, I was like, this has got to be the one that Shy likes, because this sounds cool. He loved it. I loved it. Mom was riveted with that movie. And I think Jose caught the ending too. It was great. And then at night, I go to put Ari to bed, and he's like, "What if I have a bad dream?" Because like the movie's about bad dreams, and I was like, "Oh shit, now you've done it, Chai." And then I was like, "Well, just the Sandman will come and sprinkle good dreams on you." He's like, "That makes perfect sense."
Yeah.
I went
Oh,
right
how
to
cute
sleep.
is the Sandman in that? I mean,
Yeah,
there's a scene with
it's
the
a great
Sandman
movie.
towards the end that is just like I get teary every time when all the
And I
kids
feel
do
like
Dwayne.
that movie does not get enough, praise. I feel like.
Yeah, it sort of slipped in between, and it's sort
Isn't
of
it Guillermo del Toro has something to do with that?
no, he doesn't have anything to do with it. It was
No.
just a DreamWorks movie, but I think
Which
it's great,
movie?
and Alec Baldwin's hilarious as the Russian Santa Claus,
Right.
and
Who they don't call Santa Claus, which
no,
I
they
find
call
that
him
funny.
North.
Oh, actually,
North.
speaking of Santa Claus, should we talk about that trailer that Chai sent?
The Mel Gibson movie, The Fat Man, about
Yeah,
Santa. So
so
I like one of my like blind spots or weak spots in life is that like
Is Mel
even though he's a
Gibson.
terrible he's got to be a terrible person. Like I'm not excusing him, but because lethal weapon movies are so important to me as a kid, I've always had
Like if we get
room.
one pardon, if we're the president and we can pardon one
celebrity.
incredibly talented celebrity that's
Oh,
disappointed
I'm not
us.
pardoning him. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying I'll
and like
still
in
watch
terms of
his
like
stuff. Like
that's
He's not
a pardon.
canceling him. What he's saying is he's not canceling
Yeah,
him.
in my book, that's like.
But
somewhat
here's
of
the
a
thing.
pardon,
Here's the thing.
that
So
you're
Mel
not willing to cancel
Gibson, certifiable terrible person. If he's gonna make a film comeback based on the trailer, it seemed like this was an appropriate role. Like it seems like this is like an appropriate role for
I feel
him
like he's
to make
made
a
like
comeback.
3 different comebacks. Get the
Yeah, but
Gringo
no
was a
one
great movie.
oh really?
That was supposed to, yeah, I thought Get the Gringo was great. That was a cool movie.
And this movie where essentially Santa is like burned out and brought in by like the FBI and the US government to go on some like mission.
Sorry, I don't mean to like fact check you for a second, Shy, but I knew I was right. Guillermo del Toro, executive producer of The Guardians.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, sorry.
It makes me happy. I mean,
yeah,
he's
I
amazing.
just had to fact check. But yeah, sorry, back to Mel Gibson not being canceled.
I mean, look, so here's where I stand on Fat Man. I'm not going to spend money on it. I'm not going to, as much as I really am intrigued by that movie, I'm not going to spend money on it and put money into Mel Gibson's like pocket on it. But when it's available on one of the streaming platforms, I will watch it because I am interested in it. And I think it looks like crazy. And I like a crazy movie like that. So, it's makes me think of VFW and Hobo with a Shotgun and movies like that. So I'm interested in that. Would you like to hear what I've watched?
Yes.
Do we have enough time?
Yeah. I watched a lot of things, but I'll go quickly. Number 1, PG Psycho Goreman. That is.
What is it about? What is that
name?
What is that title?
So PG Psycho Goreman is the new. It's weird because it's a cult movie from the moment it landed, and it deserves that status. It is so awesomely crazy and hilarious. It is, imagine Stranger Things mashed up with Evil Dead, but with space aliens. Essentially these kids uncover the embodiment of evil, and because they have the key to what like controls his power, he has to do whatever they say.
Oh, I've seen that preview.
I've
seen the preview.
It is so.
I finally know which movie you're talking about.
It's so crazy and it's so heavy metal, like, and there's like a cult developing around this movie, not like a praying cult, but just like it's so funny and it doesn't take itself seriously, but it actually has heart. And the makeup and character effects are almost all practical effects. I think maybe they're all practical effects, so it's really fun to see. And at the same time, it's campy, and so there is gore in it, but the gore is not nihilistic and mean-spirited. It's not like you're watching a slasher movie as much as it's like that comedy gore that I find like hilarious, and really good performances from the actors. And it's a must-see. Psycho Goreman is a must-see right now in the zeitgeist, and I can't wait for you both to see it because we have to do a whole breakdown of it.
Okay, great.
I would love to talk to someone who's worked on that film. So if you're out there and your Psycher Gorman cast, crew, and the show and the film producers would like to put you up to do an interview with us, I would love to go deep on that film, and we would have so much fun talking about it. Then I attended the Fest Apocalypse, which was at the fundraiser for SF Sketchfest, the SF Sketchfest that Janet Varney,
so
of
fun.
course, started. And it was really, really funny and heartwarming and such an incredible tribute to those folks who created that comedy festival, because you had every single person either do a bit or a shout out. Off the top of my head, Eddie Izzard, Alan Arkin, Kevin Pollack, and then sort of more Kevin Pollack, sorry, who we've seen together live in concert, you and me.
Yeah, he's great.
All of the kids in the hall did a bit. Weird Al Yankovic, not to mention Janet and all Janine Garofalo. Did I mention Janine Garofalo? Like, not to mention,
that's awesome.
They were literally every person in the comedy world you could think of was a part of it, and that was lovely. And then I donated at such a level that I got to go into the backstage, which was on this wild app I've never been on before, called Gather, and you essentially become
an app you haven't been on. Oh boy.
Or a website. It's more of a website where you are like a little video game character, like in Zelda, and when you get close to other characters, you connect. Like, you're on Zoom and you end up in conversation with them. So it's supposed to be like a green room, and it was a map of an entire venue in San Francisco, which was a little bit confusing because you had to go to like different floors and rooms, and there's a lot going on. It was very confusing for the first hour, but I got to run into Stevie Jackson, co-host of Buddies Without Borders, and she reaffirmed the invitation for us to go back on their show. So we're going to work on something hopefully for March for the three of us to go and guest on their show. But having her and Chris on was amazing. But it was great. I had a buddy, so we chatted with some other people, and then right before it was pretty late on the East Coast, but right before I was about to turn in, I got to bump into the inimitable Janet Varney and got to chat with her, and she sends her love to you and to all of our families. And again, always so gracious and cool. And also popped into the same conversation, Gabe Diani and Etta Devine. They were there too. So we had some buddies and former guests on the show, but also like just super talented, amazing people. So I got to chat with them for a few minutes. So that was great. That was one of the most like fun, cool things I've done lately. Then on the movie front, you know me, I throw a curveball every once in a while, and I watch, as Becky would call, challenging films. A couple of indie films I watched that feature, one stars Wendy McClendon-Covey, who plays Billy Goldberg on the Goldbergs, in a fully dramatic role about a woman, a married woman in the suburbs whose life is sort of unraveling in a lot of different directions. She gets herself involved with, I would say, the wrong people, but it's not a crime situation. It's more of a relationship drama. And she is so good. I mean, I've talked about this a million times, but however great she is at comedy, she's great at drama. This movie reminds me a lot of The Good Girl or Lifeguard. Great acting performances. She is off the charts amazing in it. I recommend it if you are in the mood for a depressing relationship-based indie drama, which I am not usually, but I love this. So there's that one. And then there's another movie that she only is in like a section of the movie where she's great, but it actually features other actors are really the main, and it's called Breaking for Whales. And Breaking for Whales is a sibling road trip movie. It's about two siblings. I won't tell you anything else about them, but Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, who is a phenomenal actor, him and the sister, who are somewhat estranged. Their mother has died and has left that and will only leave them her inheritance if they take her ashes and deliver them to the mouth of a whale, so that a whale will, because she loved whales. And really what it becomes is a vehicle for these two going on this sometimes very funny, sometimes very emotional road trip across the United States.
Where can people see that movie?
Both of these movies are on Amazon Prime. So
okay, cool.
If you have Amazon Prime, I would say Breaking for Whales is the more accessible movie and my top recommendation for you both, because I think you'll really enjoy it. But don't sleep on Blush. I think I think Wendy really just crushed it. And those are my recommendations. Again, things that are a little off the beaten path this week.
Cool.
With that, Becky, where can people follow you?
Oh, at Paper BK Princess on Twitter. Oh, wait, did I also announce that I figured out how to get my dog across the country? I feel like was that like a couple weeks? That was like a couple weeks ago. I was like putting out a call, like an SOS call. Who can drive?
So all the people in our DMs that have offered to transport Becky's dog.
Yeah, it's cool. I figured it out.
Waiting with bated breath.
That's good.
I figured it out.
So follow Becky on social media.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, follow me on social media. Don't worry about my dog. Thanks for nothing, all of our listeners. Just so everyone is aware, it's one of the most expensive parts of this move is getting her. As Vlad said, it would be cheaper to just buy a new dog.
But you wouldn't do that to your beautiful Sabaka.
I would never do that. I would never do that to the original Shapey. Never.
And Allie loves that dog so much. Allie loves your dog.
Great.
So.
You don't realize, Shy, is that you're getting a dog.
I know. Are you kidding? So once I got one, I want two. So now they'll get. Are you kidding?
They'll be friends.
The Rocket and Sabaka adventures are going to be amazing.
I'm so happy you let Rocket be on social media, even if you don't let your kids.
Yeah, not my kids, but Rocket gets to be on social media. I once did a little poll and said, "Who wants more Rocket content?" And I got a bunch of negatives, so I don't overdo it.
What?
A bunch of people were like, "No, thank you."
Those
like
people,
voted no.
Those people, no. Those you can cancel those. Everybody wants more dog content, so no.
Lily, where can people follow you?
Chichik Gomez on the Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table, Pancake 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow all of the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, or at FridayNightMoviePod.com. Our family supports the Equal Justice Initiative and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, 2 hugely important organizations fighting for equity and justice in our society. And we highly recommend you checking those out. And with that, the theme music by What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance our way into the evening. Love you both, Lily and Becky. I'm so glad we got to chat.
Bye.
So fun to catch up. Bye, guys.
So fun dogging. Love you.